everyone. Welcome back to another pick a card reading on my channel. Before we jump right into it, I just want to say, thanks so much for stopping by, even just to check me out. I know there are a lot of pick a card readings and tarot readings on YouTube and TikTok right now. So just the fact that you're here, I just want to express my gratitude for you. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. So I have this series on my channel called the Saturday Morning Vibe Check. And what that's all about is basically every Saturday morning, I'll be uploading a video where we, get cozy. Feel free to grab a cup of your favorite breakfast beverage. Mine is usually coffee. We're going to dive into the energy that's surrounding you that particular weekend. Sometimes there will be a theme like today. There's a theme, which I'll get into in a moment. Or sometimes it's just a general energy check-in. And again, I just want to note, just because I'm going to be uploading these videos on Saturday mornings, if you happen to come across this on a Monday or, whatever, it's really a timeless video as well. So, just because you're not watching it on a particular or that exact Saturday morning, stick around. If there's a pile that you're drawn to or that you feel like you'll resonate with, watch, and there might be a message that you need to hear in that particular moment. So okay, let's get into the theme of today's video. So today's Saturday morning vibe check is really looking at your love life. In my meditation before pulling the cards this morning, I kept being drawn to ask the question, what is on your person's mind this weekend? So that's really what I went with, and hopefully there's a message in here that resonates with you. Okay, so we have 3 piles for you to choose from today. The timestamps are going to be linked below. And then stick around for the end of each pile. We're going to pull some zodiac signs to get even more clarification on the reading. So let's get into it. So pile 1, we have the natural milky quartz crystal, which I think that's what this is. I actually got this crystal in my backyard in northeastern Pennsylvania. So we had naturally occurring quartz in our area. So I just always assumed it was crystal quartz, but because it's kind of milky, I kind of just associated it with a milky crystal quartz. So maybe that's just because it's naturally occurring. If you're an expert at crystals, feel free to comment below and let me know. So that's pile 1. Pile 2 has the gorgeous black obsidian crystal points. And then pile 3 has the yellow jasper crystal. So I'll give you a few minutes to take a deep breath and really get into, get deep into your intuition to choose which pile you're most drawn to. Maybe you want to pause the video and meditate on the piles and, again, just really lean on your intuition to choose one. That's totally fine. I just want to note that if you are drawn to multiple piles, that's totally normal. Just check out both or all of those piles. Maybe not every message is going to resonate with you. Maybe it will. Check them out. There might be something in there that you need to hear in this moment. So, okay, everyone. So I'll give you a few moments to pick your pile. And like I said, the timestamps are linked in the description box below. Let's get into it. I'll see you over there. Okay, hey, pile 1. Welcome to your reading. So in today's Saturday morning vibe check, we're going to take a look at the person that might be on your mind and say, really get into what it is that they're thinking right now, what is on their mind about your connection specifically. So if you chose the white crystal quartz, the milky quartz, this reading is for you. Yeah, like I said, I got this stone in literally my backyard when I was growing up, and I never really was into crystals at the time. I just always thought it was really pretty and resonated with it. And it has been with me since, honestly, 20 odd years. I have had this forever. So, it's a really special crystal for me. And I just love how it's naturally occurring, it's it literally came from the earth. Sometimes I feel like I buy crystals and where did this come from? So let's get into your pick a card reading. I have some oracle cards, 3 oracle cards to get into at the end. But first, we're going to get into your tarot cards. So let's see what the universe has to say for you today. I won't be reading reversals, by the way, in this reading specifically. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm not really feeling it today. So if you do get a card upside down, I'll be flipping it back upright. So today we have the Fool. And the tarot deck that I'm using is the Lovely Omens Tarot, and I will link that below. You have the Page of Pentacles, the Four of Swords, the Hermit, and the Page of Swords. Okay, pile 1. So what is on your person's mind this weekend, or what is the energy that's surrounding your person this weekend? I kind of feel like there's been like a step back. I don't want to scare anybody, but I hope this resonates. And I don't think that it's like forever. I think maybe there's been a lot of like conversation, maybe even a little bit about like the long term. Maybe this person is taking a little bit longer than you'd like them to take, kind of like moving forward in the connection or in your life. But I think for what I'm kind of seeing in your cards is really just sort of like a rest, or maybe you're just sort of like in this period of your connection where things aren't necessarily like bad, but they're not like necessarily moving forward. And I think you're kind of fine with it. Like maybe there's, some other things that both of you are focused on, even though you're still together in a connection. It's just right now, the focus isn't necessarily on moving things forward. It's kind of like being okay with the status quo. And maybe there's been some conversations like around that, you're like, okay, like we're both on the same page. I kind of feel like it's like you're both on the same page, but also like maybe you or maybe the other person in this case would like to start to like have the conversation and moving things forward. But that's just kind of like the initial sort of like vibe that I'm getting, is that truly it's right now you're kind of at I don't even want to say standstill, because that makes me feel like things are bad. I actually think that both of you are very happy. It's just this feeling of like, maybe you got to a certain point in your connection where you got very comfortable with each other and the connection. And like I said, it's not necessarily like moving forward to like the next step, but you're also just kind of like fine with the status quo. There's another sort of message that, I'm kind of getting. Oh wait, sorry. Sophie is like attacking something. 1 second. Sophie. Okay, sorry about that. I think that there's also kind of this other message for some of you that, and again, I don't want to scare anyone or put like any sort of negative pressure on a connection for anybody, but maybe there was sort of an ending to maybe like a situationship or something that maybe like you're going through. And if we're looking at the other person's energy today and sort of what they're feeling and how they're feeling, I would say that they're kind of feeling like, whoa. Like I almost feel like they're kind of upset. They're kind of like unexpectedly having to like start fresh on their own, and it's upsetting, but they know that maybe it's for the best, and maybe that's you too. Like maybe this is like for you, where there was sort of like an ending to the connection, and maybe this weekend you're sort of starting to like move forward into I don't want to say like move forward like into yourself in a sense, but I do kind of feel like there's a feeling of like, okay, there was maybe some conversations, you're both on the same page in terms of how you want to move this connection forward, and maybe that's upsetting to you, but I almost feel like it's going to make you stronger in the end. And there's a lot of like feeling of like that kind of like not lasting that long, like in my mind. Like right now you both, or maybe you, or maybe that person is kind of like taking a step back and like evaluating that, and maybe it feels kind of scary, and like maybe it feels like the connection ended, but like what I'm getting is that I think this is going to come back around, and then it's going to be sort of like some beginning conversations about the long term. It's almost like you needed this sort of, I don't want to say like a break, but like you needed this, like it's almost like if I could picture this, like maybe like on Thursday or like 2 days ago, you had this conversation about like, hey, like things are going great. Like what's next? And like you or the other person was like, huh? Like I'm fine with the status quo. And now that kind of caused a little bit of a wedge between you two, a little bit. And maybe you sort of decided to like take the next couple of days and just kind of like evaluate like within like how you feel about the connection and if this is something you want to move forward with, which can be upsetting. But I do feel like there's going to be some conversation coming in with this Page of Swords. And it's probably either going to be like a text message or maybe even like a DM or something from this person. I don't think it's going to be a new person. I think it's going to be from this person. And I think it's going to kind of, you know, give you an idea of like, okay, we're going to have this conversation now. It's going to go a lot smoother, and it's going to really get into, you know, like the long term. Because I feel like this Page of Pentacles, like it's sort of like the beginning stages of like a long term anything, you know, like pentacles are usually like grounded, and in timing, they usually take the longest. So if I'm really thinking about what's on your person's mind, I think they are thinking about the long term, but maybe that initial conversation that you had a couple days ago, like kind of scared them a bit into like this hermit mode where they're like, oh God, like I'm scared. I'm going to like take a step back. And I need to think. And that's totally fine and like valid, but you know, it's also kind of scary. And it's interesting how in this artwork, in the Lovely Omens tarot deck, the Fool is depicted with this girl crying, looking at her phone. And it's like the message I always feel like when I'm looking at this is like the feeling of like starting something new after something like ended. So I think that's where I'm getting this sort of like feeling of some sort of like wedge between you two, or some sort of like I don't want to say like ending, but it feels like, again, there was like a conversation that was had. It didn't go as planned either on your end or the person's end. And now you're sort of in this like stepped back situation, if that makes sense. You're both in sort of like this like hermit mode. But I think being in this mode in this energy is really giving you, or the person that you're thinking about today that you came here to watch this video about, it's really giving you, or that person, the sort of like idea, and like even if they're not openly communicating with you right now, or communication seems different or weird, I think that they're really sort of now, like, it's almost like the conversation that you had, like they're really thinking about it, and they're really thinking about like, okay, what it is that I want in this relationship or this connection, and they're going to come forward. Or maybe it's you that's going to come forward and be like, no, it's going to come in quickly, but then also it's going to feel a little bit more stable and secure when that conversation does happen. So yeah, right now and again, like even though I'm really kind of looking at like your person, this also might resonate with how you're feeling. So definitely take that. Let's get a couple more messages from this tarot deck, and let's just kind of get something to confirm. Okay, so you also have the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, so I think that kind of goes along with what I'm kind of feeling of like, even though right now one or both of you might be in this hermit mode, like taking a step back from communication, I think that soon this person is going to reach out to you. I feel like it's going to be a text message. And actually it might be kind of like during like a time when it's like raining, or maybe like at nights even. I'm getting like all these like starry depictions on the art. But, you know, I think their message is going to feel stable and secure is basically what I'm kind of getting. And I think the Knight of Pentacles really confirmed that for me. Oh my God, on the back of your deck is the Lovers. Yeah, guys, I think like if you're in this situation right now where you feel like, oh God, we had this conversation or this thing happened, like, don't worry. I think it's going to be okay. It's basically the vibe that I'm getting. So let's get another card, and then we'll get into your oracle cards too. Okay, you also have the Devil. So maybe this sort of hermit mode, again, maybe there was this conversation, whatever, however it's resonating with you. But maybe that kind of like scared them into like old patterns, or like really they're kind of like right now taking a look at like their limiting beliefs, like what's really holding them back from maybe stepping forward or moving the connection forward. Or maybe like they feel comfortable in the status quo because, it's scary to move forward with someone. It's scary to be vulnerable. So I think that's where this Devil is really kind of coming in for me. I'm not getting anything like super facetious about it. I think it's really just about like their limiting beliefs about relationships or love, whatever it might be. I think they were maybe like triggered by that long-term conversation into this like hermit mode because they're afraid. And that fear, I think, is really like, if you think about like the traditional artwork on the Devil card, it's like two people sort of chained to the Devil, which is, and sometimes I like sort of take that as like chained to your limiting beliefs, and that really can like hold you back. So I think this hermit mode that, again, one or both of you are going through right now is totally just necessary in order to like break through these limiting beliefs that maybe one or both of you had. So all good things. All right, let's get into your oracle cards. And then at the end, I'm going to blindly pick just from this pile of zodiac charms that I have, and we'll just get some confirmation. So your first oracle card is Answer the Call. Yeah, like again, I kind of feel like this is going to come in like, I was thinking text message, but like I was thinking like mobile phone, kind of thing. Like, who doesn't have a mobile phone right now? Like, did I just make myself into like a boomer? Like, oh my God. But maybe they're going to actually call you, and that it's kind of like interesting how I was thinking like they're going to reach out basically. So make sure you do answer the call. Like, even if maybe you're a little bit upset with this person, make sure you answer the call when they do. But then also this what is your soul calling you to do, I think is speaking to this like Devil hermit energy, where there may be sort of like some like breaking of like the soul pattern like happening right now. Sometimes we're triggered into feeling certain ways so that we can be aware of them and then heal from them. So maybe that's sort of like what is going on with one or both of you. Like, how did this trigger you? What is the triggering event? How is that telling your soul what it is that you need, or how it is that you can heal? That kind of thing. You also have the initiation, rite of passage, crossing the threshold. I actually love that because I think in order to come out of this hermit energy, which is kind of like, usually they're depicted in like a cave, and it's sort of like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's kind of interesting how like this lightning bolt on the card kind of reminds me of the Tower. So maybe this conversation that you had that scared this person or you was kind of like a Tower moment. And, I think it's going to be really like necessary to take a step back, but I do see them or you coming through sort of this like into the light kind of thing. So it's really, really interesting. And I think what's cool too is like there's sort of like these like mountains on the other side of the rite of passage in this artwork. And in this first card that we got, there's some mountains depicted here too. So I think there's some like soul growth happening basically in this sort of hermit mode that you're in. And then the Age of Light, you've been training for this for lifetimes. I kind of feel like it's all about like coming through and out of the darkness of this hermit mode. And I do see this person kind of like reaching out, and it's going to be kind of like that light at the end of the tunnel. So have no fear. I think it's all going to go really, really well, pile one. And I'm excited to, hopefully this resonated with you, and I'm excited to, hopefully see what it is that this message meant. If you don't mind commenting in the comments, if this is resonating. So let's just get a couple zodiac signs. I'm just going to blindly pick 3, I guess. So again, these, take what resonates, leave the rest, but these might be seasons, these might be your sun, moon, rising, they might be your person's sun, moon, rising, or it might not be any. But again, take what resonates, leave the rest. If you don't see any of the zodiac signs, it doesn't mean that this wasn't your message. So you have Virgo, Aquarius, and Pisces. So if we're thinking about seasons, even like maybe this conversation that you had happened during Aquarius season, and now in Pisces season, this person's going to reach out, which is soon. So, all good. I think, like I said, the energy that I feel is really positive. I think you're soon going to see the end of the tunnel, like the light is there. And I think either one or both of you, whoever was sort of the person triggered into that hermit mode will soon be reaching out. And I think your connection will feel a lot more stable. So okay, pile one, those are all the messages I have for you today. I hope that this resonated. And thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hey everyone who chose pile 2. Welcome to today's Saturday morning vibe check. If you chose the Black Obsidian Crystal Point, then this reading is for you. So in today's pick a card reading, again, we're just kind of looking at the energy that's surrounding your person of interest, or like what's on their mind, or just kind of like diving into the energy that's surrounding you in this particular moment. Again, this is a timeless reading, so it doesn't have to be specific to today, or the day that I'm uploading this. There just might be a message in here for you if you're watching it on like a random Monday or something. So we have 5 tarot cards for you to take a look at today, as well as a few oracle cards. And then at the end of your reading, I'll be pulling 2 to 3 zodiac signs just to kind of get some clarification or maybe some confirmation for you on that. So let's get into it. So just as a heads up, I will not be reading reversals today. I'm just not really feeling it. So if you get a card that's upside down, then we'll just flip it, because positive vibes only. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Okay, so let's get into it. So you have the King of Cups. You have the 2 of Swords. You have the 4 of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the 2 of Pentacles. Cool. Okay, pile 2. What is on your person's mind this weekend or right now? Basically, what's the energy that's surrounding you too? I'm kind of feeling like this is someone who maybe you were feeling like was like obsessed with you, and then all of a sudden they were like, or maybe they're like obsessed with you and like holding on like super, super, super tight to like a specific outcome of the relationship instead of just like letting it flow, kind of. Like, I feel like there's like all this like outpouring of love like into the connection, but then it's also like tight, like super like uptight, if that makes sense. And that might be causing some like unbalance, kind of. Like, it's almost like the energy right now that I'm looking at is like there's kind of like a need to sort of let go and go with the flow. And maybe that's resonating more with you than it is for how your person's feeling, so take that if it does. But I do kind of get this sense of like there's a call for balance coming in, and I think there will be soon, maybe even before the weekend is over, who knows. But it's almost like making that decision to sort of like break free from this sort of like, if you've been like practicing law of attraction or like manifesting, like maybe you like manifested this person into your life and they're like everything you wanted, but then you're just sort of like holding on super, super tightly on like how this love plays out. And I think the message is to like let go like a little bit, not let go of the person, because there's obviously a lot of love here, and like connection and physical attraction and attraction. There's a lot here. In fact, I would say that like this connection has a lot of potential for it kind of feels a little bit newer, but that's just in my mind. But I think the reason I'm saying that is because of all like why do I always want to say like early court cards? Like, the court cards aren't very far along, but I think that your connection has the potential to run deep, kind of, with this King of Cups. But yeah, it's almost like if we're looking at specifically how your person is feeling or what's on your person's mind, I feel like they have this like insane amount of like a love, and like they feel like there's like a really deep connection between the two of you. But there's also sort of this like need to just like go with the flow. Like, it's almost like the perfectionism thing where it's like, oh, like maybe they feel like they manifested you into their life, and going back to like what I was saying about the law of attraction, I guess, is like, you know, they always say like the hardest part is just kind of like going with the flow, or like letting go of the outcome and like letting the universe do its thing. I kind of feel like that's the call here. So maybe you feel like there's a bit of an imbalance in the connection, or for those reasons, like one or both of you has just this like outpouring of like your cup runneth over, so to speak, love and affection for the other person. And it's kind of like, that is awesome. We're here for that. But I think it's time to sort of just kind of like let the universe do this thing, especially if you feel like you manifested this person into your life. It's almost like, oh my God, my manifestation's here. This is awesome. And like you just like hold on to it like with a death grip. So it's, or like maybe you're like holding on, maybe because like you feel like this deep connection with this person, or maybe because they feel like they have a deep connection with you. You know, they're starting to see that they're like holding on so tightly to this outcome of the relationship and like putting this energy of perfectionism around it, which could be causing this imbalance. Because there's definitely like a call to like bring things into balance. And again, I don't think it's like anything major. Like we didn't get, you know, temperance or anything like that, where we're sort of being asked to really bring things into balance from like a bigger like universe perspective. I think this is more along the lines of just like, okay, let go of the death grip. It's all good. We love each other. Like, let's just go with the flow and see how this works out. And I think it's going to work out really, really good. Like, I think there's a lot here. I think there's a lot to do with, obviously, a lot of connection. I feel like it's a deep connection. Like this flows deep in you. And, you know, it feels kind of like, what's interesting too, I never noticed, is like there's like these like ice cubes on here. Maybe you met this person, maybe you met this person in a bar, or maybe you like iced coffee. I don't know why I'm getting that, because this is a teapot, but immediately I thought this was like coffee. But anyway, I just noticed that and wanted to call it out. But I do think that like this runs deep, and it's a very like warm connection. Like the ice cubes aren't coming down into the connection with it. There's a lot of warmth and love here, and the potential for this to be deep if it's not already. But I do think that there's sort of like this decision that needs to be made for the long term. And the fact that that person is thinking about that, or maybe you're thinking about that, to me says like, you know, this deep connection is valid. Like you both see the potential in this to go long term. But just like as you or the person is thinking about this, like I think they're going to get to a point where they realize that they need to like let go with the flow, you know, and that's kind of like what this Ace of Wands card is kind of signaling to me. I think like once that happens and they sort of step into the energy of the Ace of Wands, where they're like, yep, just going with it. And it's sort of like this like spark of like imagination and like, you know, like fluidity is how I'm feeling right now. Like very like creative energy, which is kind of fluid and kind of maybe even a little bit spontaneous. Maybe there's a spontaneous trip that this person is planning for you too, which is going to help break this sort of like holding on tightly. But I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, a very, very positive thing for both of you, because I do see this coming back into balance. And I think the two of you are going to feel like more like partners, more of the same mind, which I think that you are already. Like, I think that you guys really connect on a deep level, and you have this sort of like, you're of the same mind kind of. You know, I don't want to like go as far as say like this is your soulmate, which maybe you feel like it is because of the depth of the connection and how you're feeling. But I do kind of feel like the way that this Two of Pentacles is depicted, it's just kind of giving me like you're two of like the same, you're cut from the same cloth kind of, which is why I really keep feeling the need to say like one or both of you, like, because I kind of feel like both of you are feeling this way. It's not just your person. So yeah, I think what the cards are suggesting to me is really like, go with the flow. You're going to be better for it, honestly. Which is great. Sophie, my cat, keeps acting up as I'm filming these videos, and it's like driving me nuts. Like she's like literally attacking something right now on the other side of the room, and I want to go get her, but I'm not going to, so I don't interrupt. I can't even imagine what that is that she's playing with. I have to see. In typical cat fashion, it's just a bag that she decided to play with. So let's move on. Let's get a few more messages from the Lovely Omens Tarot deck just to kind of confirm what we've been talking about here. And then I will get into your oracle cards after this. Let's see how many cards want to come out. Whoop. Okay, you're getting 2. So you have the 10 of Wands and the 7 of Pentacles. Yeah, I think it's really calling to the end of this sort of like I feel like this might be like a burden, honestly. And I think you're at the end of feeling like you can continue to carry the burden of this idea of like a perfect relationship or like how this relationship should work out. And I think that I think it's gonna just like pay off dividends by just sort of like going with the flow. It's almost like you've been carrying all these wands and like all these ideas of the relationship, and I see you sort of like picking one from the bunch and being like, I'm just gonna go with this and it's gonna work out. I think that's gonna bring a lot of balance back into this connection for sure. And then you also have the 7 of Pentacles, which again, like, have some patience, give yourself some grace as you're going through this process. It's not easy to really like put in the work and, let go of whatever it is that you sort of have been manifesting for this relationship. And I'm not saying let go in the sense of like, walking away from the connection or anything. I think it's really about like, you've planted the seeds, the universe is giving you this person that you manifested, but it's still in order for that sort of, the bush depiction. I don't know why I said that. Like on the 7 of Pentacles, usually it's depicted as, a man looking back at sort of the work that he's put into a specific like plant that has grown. And it's really like, to me, sometimes it's kind of like, oh, okay, like I planted the seeds of this a long time ago and look at how well it's doing. It's thriving. It's whatever. And sometimes I feel like the person in that depiction traditionally in traditional tarot looks a little bit like proud of themselves, and then also like a little bit the way that their head sometimes is tilted is kind of like surprised. So that to me says like it's okay to let go because the seeds have been planted. The connection is good, it's deep, it has what you wanted that you've been manifesting. Just let the universe do its thing, and that's ultimately going to make you feel more connected to this person, and I think bring a lot of stability in, and it's going to like take a lot off your mind. Like you're going to feel a lot better for it, I think, just like in the long term, if you just kind of like let go. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's get into your oracle cards for today's reading. So you have no, wait, postpone, pause, say no. So I think where that's coming from is like this sort of like stalemate energy that's being created because of how tightly someone is holding on in the connection. It's like, no, hold on. Like we need to like establish some sort of like boundary here because I feel like there's no way anyone can live up to a certain level of perfectionism in a relationship. And it's just like, let's just go with the flow. Like, see how like rigid this looks? Like, it's almost like, let's stop. And not the connection, that's what I'm saying, but like let's let go of the outcome, and I think you'll be better for it. And yeah, so you have play, so it's almost like go with the flow, like have fun, like release this burden of feeling like you have to like navigate the entire relationship right now. Just trust that just trust that it's good, and just trust that it's deep, and trust in the universe that it's bringing you exactly what you've been manifesting. And then finally, boundaries. So where do you need to establish better boundaries? And I think that's really coming from the call to let go. I think, again, maybe this person is sort of like identifying within themselves that like they need to make a decision to just go with the flow, to have better boundaries with how they're perceiving the relationship. Or maybe that's you. But again, I wouldn't necessarily think that these 2 oracle cards are necessarily bad. I think it's just the universe saying like, there's a need to have kind of like put up some guardrails here, but like also go with the flow, which sounds a little bit backwards, but it's like, don't worry, like we got it. Like you don't have to keep worrying about it. Like just know, we got it. The universe has got it. It's time to have fun in the connection. It's time to let loose and go with the flow. And I think, you're really going to start to see some of that balance come into your connection for sure, if you're kind of feeling like it's not there already. So let's get 3 zodiac signs from these zodiac charms that I have. I'm just kind of like shuffling them in my palm, but we'll get 3. And, you know, I just want to say, like, even these might be your sun, moon, rising. They might be the sun, moon, rising of the person that you have in mind, or that we're talking about today. If they don't take this as like, oh, well, the zodiac signs don't match anything that ever resonated with me, so this isn't my reading. No. This is just as an extra confirmation. So you have Libra, Scorpio, and Taurus. So again, they might be your sun, moon, rising, maybe the person that you're thinking about, their sun, moon, rising. If you could see those, I'm gonna move them down here so that you can see them a little bit better, hopefully. Yeah, so I think pile 2, I think the main message here is to let go, have things come into balance. Oh, that's kind of interesting how, you know, the Libra charm came out and there's sort of this like call to bring things into balance. So that could be very, very interesting. And yeah, I think if you do, I think, you or the person, you know, that you're thinking about today will be in a better position in your relationship. So, all right, pile 2, those are all the messages I have for you today. I hope this message resonated with you. Stay tuned for more videos and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, what's up, pile 3? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for checking out this reading. Let's get into it. So let's get into your Saturday morning vibe check, all about your person of interest. Maybe you're dating someone, maybe you just have someone in mind and you're just kind of curious about, you know, what's on their mind this weekend. You know, what's the energy surrounding your connection? This could be all different types of connections, you know, friendship connections, marriages, like whatever. Just kind of looking at the energy and getting a quick vibe check this morning. So, and again, this is a timeless video. So whenever you're watching this, it doesn't have to be specifically today, on the day that I'm uploading it, or on a Saturday. It's really just like a timeless, dayless video, but the series is Saturday morning. So if you chose the yellow jasper crystal, I can't talk, crystal, this video or this reading is for you. So the way this pick a card reading is going to go today, we have 5 tarot cards from the Lovely Omens tarot deck, which I will link to below. We have actually which I'll get into in a minute, but your pile 3 had, as I was shuffling both decks, so, you know, this, and I forget the name of this oracle deck, but I'll link it below. Both of them had like the most cards come out. There was almost like a lot of energy like around either what's on your person's mind. Like maybe there's a lot they want to say to you. So you actually, well, most people only got 3 oracle cards. You got 5. So that's great. So we'll get into those at the end. And then, yeah, I was able to just get 5 cards for you today. So we'll take a look at what is on your person's mind. And yeah, maybe as I've been reading these, I've been kind of getting into the energy of like, this might be one or both of you. So if what I'm saying resonates with you, you know, take that message. It doesn't have to be just specific to your person. It could also be around your connection or maybe how you're feeling. So take what resonates. Okay, so getting right into it, you have the 6 of Pentacles. And I won't be reading reversals today. I keep saying that in all the piles. Just wasn't like feeling it. So if one of your cards comes out in a reversal, I will be turning it upright just because that's how the vibe is right now for me. So you have the 8 of Cups, the 6 of Swords, the 5 of Pentacles, and the 6 of Wands. Okay, pile 3. I mean, I feel like the energy that's surrounding your connection right now, or at least what's on your person's mind, is like super positive. I feel like, and I don't know like what your past history was, but if there is any sort of like animosity, or maybe there was a lot of arguments or tension in the recent past, I think you're moving out of that. Like there's a feeling of like the connection improving and moving into calmer waters. You know, obviously with the 6 of Swords, the usual depiction is someone on a boat, sort of like moving you forward out of the rough waters and into calm waters. So I think there's sort of this energy of like, you know, like moving forward, like moving on, moving forward, you know, like we both love each other. Like, let's just move on and move forward with your life. Or
sometimes like connections can go through cycles, where it's, you're feeling like, oh, like maybe think you're arguing a lot, and just kind of like minor arguments, like nothing like groundbreaking or anything, but you're like, all right, like it kind of feels like there's like an end to a cycle to your connection where you're sort of moving into a more positive place, which is great. And it could be that either someone is generously sort of like giving you to advice, like maybe you're going to therapy, and they're sort of like helping you move into this positive, energy. The reason I'm saying that is because, again, like typically the Six of Pentacles has a person sort of like being generous to people. And sometimes the way that I see that is, and I actually got this depiction or this like interpretation from Kino Tarot, is because I actually see it the same way, is where the person typically depicted in the Six of Pentacles in the middle. If you want to like Google the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, just to kind of know what I'm talking about if you're not familiar. I kind of see that as like a spirit guide almost. And then also like on the Six of Swords, typically there's a person standing and a person sitting on a boat, like moving forward into like calmer ground. So I kind of feel like maybe you guys are in therapy, like there's this sort of like third party, maybe like helping you move forward. It could just be like advice from someone else who maybe has gone through the same thing. Or maybe it's even truly like on a spiritual level, like I was saying, like that spirit guide, sort of like energetically guiding you in, out of that old cycle and into the new cycle, which is for the better, which is awesome. I mean, all I see here is like improvement and honestly like success. Like you have the Six of Wands like at the end of your reading here. So it's like at the end of the day, like this is a very successful energy and very, very positive. And it's almost like moving in and like trusting sort of like your intuition and like the unknown as you sort of like step out of that cycle. It can be kind of scary, especially if that cycle was particularly comfortable for one or both of you. Excuse me. Like maybe there were some things that both of you were doing that were based on like limiting beliefs around, connections or relationships in general. And like, I just generally see you sort of like moving out of that and trusting the unknown and walking away from repeating patterns is sort of something that I'm also getting. So yeah, I think this is like, honestly, like so positive. I think if we go back to what I was saying before I even turned your cards around, was how it was so interesting how as I was shuffling and pulling the deck, it was just like cards were just like spilling out. And so I feel like as you're moving through this sort of like cycle, like you might feel yourself sort of like having a lot of conversations and shedding old wounds is kind of like what I'm feeling too, which is like super, super positive. I think that might sound scary to some people, to sort of like shed old skin and to sort of like move out of something that they're very, very comfortable in. But I think at the end of the day, honestly, what I'm seeing here, like there's light at the end of the tunnel. So that's like completely awesome. I'm like very, very happy for you, Pile 3. I think this is like going to be a successful connection. I see you moving into just like a lighter place and like coming out on top. Like if you are in a position of like in couples therapy or something, like I see you kind of like going back in your next session and like your therapist being like, wow, like you guys really worked through a lot of stuff. That's great. If that doesn't resonate with you, like, don't worry. I'm not trying to say like you need therapy, like by any means, but, again, maybe it's sort of like your spirit guides, like looking up at you being like, oh my God, like look, they did it. They moved out of that energetic cycle and now they're into this new one. And it's great. It's successful. It's happy. And who doesn't want that? Right, Pile 3? Let me hop right into some additional messages for you from the same tarot deck, and then we'll get into your oracle cards just to get some additional messages and some confirmation. See, like there's like cards just like flying out for your pile. I don't know. I also can't pick them up. In the back of your deck is the Knight of Pentacles. So yeah, I think there's definitely like an energy here of like moving into like stability, which kind of seems to be the theme throughout all of the readings today, if I'm being honest, is this energetic movement from something that feels non-stable into something that feels more stable and successful. And it's interesting because I think each pile, while that was kind of like a common thread throughout, it's almost like it's like varying degrees of like relationships. So like one of them, I think it was pile 1, was like more of like a newer connection. And then like this one, I'm feeling like it's more like long term. So that's interesting. But you have the 2 of Pentacles. Again, pile 2 got this one, I think. Pile 2 had the 2 of Pentacles in their reading, and I shuffled this deck like 1,000 times. So, you know, if you're coming here from pile 2, this might just be like a confirmation for you specifically about coming into like calmer ground, like coming into like balance, I guess. And I think it's kind of interesting how that sort of like plays into pile 3's message as well. Because ultimately it's sort of like 2 people cut from the same cloth, right? And it's sort of like having that realization and realizing like, hey, we both love each other. You know, we're both here in this together. And like what this sort of feels like is moving into more of a partnership versus a like, even if you were like committed to each other before, like this feels like truly like a unit. You know, maybe it's something that you've always been dreaming of, is like moving into like more of like a unified experience with a partner. And I think that that's sort of the message here. And again, it's really one of 2 ways, and I'm not really getting like any other messages. So like take whichever path resonates. It's either taking the advice of someone else, be it through a therapist or maybe like someone else, you know, like a parent or something, or a friend who maybe has gone through the same thing. And working through sort of the unknowns and just kind of like moving into a more positive energetic space and bringing like a ton of balance into your connection. You also have the Queen of Wands. So I love that. It's kind of like accepting each other's differences. And I think it's coming from a place of maturity. You know, I think typically in the court cards, whenever I get like a king or queen, for me, it feels like a very mature energy. Like it's almost like we've been through it. You know, you've experienced a lot. So now it's time to sort of like step into this like queen energy of like, no, I got it. Like nothing can break me kind of thing. And then you also have the Empress. Maybe for some of you, and I don't know, I mean, the Empress is kind of like giving me this vibe, but maybe for some of you, this is about fertility and you guys sort of like moving into having children, and maybe you're going to have twins as a result. That's a really specific message for someone out there. And obviously fertility is a very sensitive topic, so I don't want to give anyone false hope or anything like that. But that was just sort of like an interesting thing that I got from this. So if you are sort of going through that sort of treatment right now, maybe there is hope light at the end of the tunnel for you and your partner. So that's kind of interesting how I'm still kind of like stuck on it, actually, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, either way, I think it's just about like moving into like a more beautiful, abundant connection, respecting each other's differences, bringing things into balance. There's nothing but success here, pile 3. So, let's get into your oracle cards. Again, you have the most out of any pile, so congratulations. And these are really just messages to kind of confirm like what it is that, what it is that we're reading today. So you have Pillar of Plates. Your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. Yeah, and I kind of feel that way too. Like I feel like there's a lot of like this, like as a unit, your vibration is rising. It's sort of like, even though there's like one person here, again, maybe like there's some sort of like angel or like spirit guide sort of helping you and your partner energetically raise your vibration to move into a better place in your connection. And that's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting, like immediately, like, I know these aren't wings, but it just kind of reminded me of like someone maybe spiritually sort of like guiding you through. Okay, this also goes back to spirit guide energy, the Great Gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits, soul tribe. So that might even be too, like the fertility message, like this tribe thing, like maybe you're growing your tribe, your family. I don't know. That might be, again, I don't want to I want to be very overly sensitive to people going through that sort of situation, as I have friends going through that. I know it can be really hard. But maybe that's just a message out there for you to kind of like keep the faith. You have awakening. A lot of this sort of like awakening energy, right? Like a new way of being. I love that. Energetic upgrades. And that's really like what we're seeing, you know, in your tarot cards. Like it's really this like moving into a more positive place, moving into like a new energy, a new vibe. And that's really interesting that you got that for your oracle cards as well. Okay, you also have 2 more cards. So you have protection and inner temple. And I think that's great. I think, you know, I think, again, going off of like the spirit guide thing, I think they are sort of protecting you and like sort of like, and your connection. Like maybe this is like a really deep spiritual connection that requires like the divine intervention. But I do kind of get the sense that it's sort of like this sort of energetic upgrade that we're sort of talking about, and like the way that you're moving into a better place with your partner, I think is coming from your souls. And I think that's why I was kind of feeling like again, there might be like the path of people who are seeing a therapist or some sort of something, and that person helping you move into something a little bit more positive in your connection. But if it is the spirit guide route, I really think it's coming from you sort of like how this message says, like tune into the portal of your heart. It's sort of like really like diving deep within yourself, within your connection, within, you know, your person's heart even. And I think doing that will help you to feel more unified, like almost like coming from a place of like, oh, I know what makes this person tick kind of thing. So I really kind of just like see that a lot in this pile. I love this reading feels very, very magical. And I think for whatever reason, again, I don't want to give anyone like super false hope here. Like don't think like because I said like, oh, if you're going through fertility issues, like you might be conceiving soon and maybe even having twins, you know, comment back if that does resonate and that did happen to you. But it's just kind of interesting how even to going back on that same message, going back to the 6 of Pentacles and the 6 of Swords, if there is that third party person helping you move forward through it, hey, that might be your doctor. But again, I almost like hate saying that because I don't want to give false hope, but something to consider for sure. Anyway, pile 3, let's get some zodiac signs. This might be, you know, your sun, moon, rising. It might be your person's sun, moon, rising, or just timing. If I pick, I'm going to be picking 3 zodiacs. But if you don't see any that resonate with you or your situation, don't feel like then this entire reading is ruined now. It's, you know, it's not. Take what resonates, leave the rest. So let's get some charms. I'm turning my head the other way, but you can't see it because I'm not on camera. Okay, there's 3. Okay, so we have Pisces. I'm putting these in a place where you can see them. Capricorn and Taurus. I think Taurus came out in the last reading too. So if you are coming here from pile 2, ooh, I just moved my camera, sorry. If you are coming here from pile 2, that might be a confirmation for you. But yeah, these could be, you know, you might be a Pisces, Capricorn, Taurus, sun, moon, rising. Your person might be, this might be timing of when maybe this is going to be happening. Like, you know, we're coming into Pisces season. Maybe by Taurus season, you know, maybe this is sort of like the gradual seasons of your connection healing. So by Capricorn season of 2024, you know, maybe you'll feel like you're in that stable place, or, you know, however this message resonated with you. So, okay, pile 3, those are all the messages I had for you. I hope that this resonated. Best of luck if it did. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.